Leaders and social entrepreneurs representing various community development projects across the country will join forces with stakeholders from public and private sectors to launch the Activate. So here to tell us a little bit more about this, we've got Mhlanganisi. Good afternoon and welcome to Sensation on JoziFM.
Thank you and good afternoon to everyone, and thanks for having me. Actually, it's my first time in Soweto, so that's
really welcome to Soweto.
Yes, you good though. I'm alive. I didn't get lost, so that's a good start. Actually,
that's a good start.
I think that's a good start.
Wrong GPS.
Yeah, you want a little bit. And the nice thing about it is I didn't look out of place, so that was pretty cool as well. Thanks for having me.
Mhlanganisi, what is Activate? Change drivers, and when was it launched?
Okay, so the Activate program is a program that looks at equipping young change drivers, people who are doing good in their communities. So young activists who want to contribute to the greater good of the country, be it in civil society, be it in their professional spaces or whatever the case may be. So the Activate network actually is a network of young people who want to contribute positively to the change of society. So it is a grouping that are contributing. There are young people that do work in education, for instance. There are young people that do work in healthcare, early childhood development, and this is a network of these young people that have gone through the Activate experiential training program. So the training program in itself is a 3-year training program that looks at imparting skills like how do you teach someone to organize, how do you teach innovation, for instance, imparting skills on innovation. Because there's one big thing we lack in this country, is the fact that all of us want to do good, but we've been doing good the same way, and we're not necessarily making a difference in that. So how do we think differently about the challenges that faces the people, and how do we apply that different mindset of thinking with when it comes to actually the work that we do in our community? So that's what Activate is all about. That's what the network is all about. So it's a network of young people who think differently about contributing to the greater good of society, who think differently about organizing themselves and creating a space for young people in a country where young people have to wrestle into the spaces that matter in the country in the first instance.
Sounds super interesting.
It is.
So, and as well, if you're a young person and you want to be a part of this movement, I could call it, because it really sounds.
It is a movement.
It's definitely a movement. How do you then go about?
Actually, the interesting thing, and let me say this. Maybe I don't know if it's bragging, but I think I should be bragging. When you look at it, last year in the initial pilot phase of the program, in the first year of training, we had about 189 young people go through the program nationally. This year, and the young people are going through a training, it's about 600 of those young people. We are looking at, in about 5 years, to have trained 5,000 young people, for those 5,000 young people to be part of this network. Because the thinking is, at the end of the day, we're going to activate the thing. So how do we equip ourselves, and how do we network, and how do we organize to help each other break through those glass ceilings as young people that are usually impediments to our development, firstly, be it personally, professionally, or in a space where we want to contribute sort of nationally. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the program in itself, and that's the movement. So when the recruitment drive for next year 2014, because this year's cycle has already been covered, the recruitment drive starts on the 15th of July. That's when applications open. You can go to www.activateleadership.co.za, or you can post your inquiries on Twitter at ActivateZA. ActivateZA. Yes.
Now, I could safely say it's quite evident you guys are also contributing positively towards, some of the major problems that we have. About 70% of unemployed youth in the country. Would you say you guys are also contributing positively?
I think the first thing, and I think it's important to note, and this is maybe just on a general level, we need to move away from expecting people to create employment for us.
Very true.
I think that is the most important thing that we need to do. So how do you teach young people, or how do you help young people, or how do you equip young people to innovate? and to innovate to a stage where they can be self-sustaining.
Yeah.
And that is the motto, or that is the thinking within the program as well. So do we create employment? No, not at all. How do we help you understand your surroundings firstly? How do we help you think differently? How do we help you organize? How do we help you hone your network, for instance? A network is something I'm learning by the day, having moved to Joburg, is that it's something that can help you get through a lot of barriers in the first. So how do we do that? And that's the question that Activate asks itself, and that's the question that the people in the network, for instance, are looking in themselves. So young people are coming up with their organizations. Young people are using the skills imparted in the training spaces, be it within their businesses and their startups that they use firstly, be it within the community development projects, or within a personal sort of professional capacity, because some people are already working, and that's how the network varies. Like some people are already employed. We have people who are doing their PhD, and that's the beauty of the other beauty of the Activate network, is that the network is big enough to have someone from a rural village in Limpopo to sit down and sort of exchange ideas with someone who sits in a PhD class, for instance, at TAP. How do you bring those people together? What are the results of those meetings? How do you hone those results? How do you get those people to innovate around general problems which affect us all in the first instance? So that's the beauty of the program in itself.
I like you guys' approach to this, because like you're saying, once we as young people get out of that mentality as to waiting for someone to employ me, you know, rather create my own employment. So what is an activator?
Okay, so an activator is basically just someone who's part of the network in the first instance. So it's someone who's gone through the training that I'm speaking to you about, and who is in the network in the first instance. Because the Activate network is made up by activators. It's people who are looking at driving positive change within their communities. It's people who are looking to contribute positively, not only within their communities, but within the general scope of South Africa. So an activator is that individual who contributes, an individual who innovates, for instance, an individual who sets themselves apart within contributing and making that greater change. You'd be surprised to note that there are a lot of young people doing things positive in the first instance. It's just that there's no space for these young people to express themselves. There's no space for these young people to put forward their work and say, hey guys,
this is what I'm doing.
This is what's happening. This is what I'm doing. How about we organize the whole of Dubai?
You're right.
How do we organize the whole of Dubai around cleaning up, for instance? How do we draw lanes in the road so that the taxis don't bump us, or whatever the case may be? And there are those young people that innovate, and there's those young people. So those are the activators. Those are people that are putting, or that are driving positive change. Those are young people that are sort of organizing themselves to a greater good, not only for their communities, but also for a greater good in South Africa.
Mhlanganisi, how do I become an activator?
An activator? Well, there's an application form, that you have to apply, to. So when you go to the site again, www.activateleadership.co.za, you will see form on the site as well. But you can also direct your queries to our Twitter account, which is @ActivateZA. That's how you become an activator. It is also important to highlight, however, is that it will be interesting, especially for the listeners, to sort of try locate the activators within their community around social networks. Because the beauty of it all is the networking. It's getting these young people organized. So get in touch with your activators in Dubai. I know we have activators all around the country. We have about 600 now. Get in touch with those people. Get in touch and see how you can not necessarily just become formally an activator, but more importantly, how you can contribute to the work that they're doing. Because Lendo Lena, I ends on the day one. At the end of the day, it's a collective. And if you get in touch with those people. I don't know, can I speak about the exchange a little bit?
Yes, you can.
So the exchange, the question of the exchange, and which is one of the the organization's sort of networks programs. The exchange is, how do we look, and these are the questions, because mostly the questions are the basis of the work that we do. So how do we get young people into spaces that are traditionally harder to get into? Whether it being young people exchanging ideas with business leaders, members of civil society or leaders within civil society or leaders in government, for instance. So how do we create a space where these young people can actually start contributing? So what has then come up is the Activate Exchange. Now the Activate Exchange is just a platform of exchanging these ideas, especially for second year activators to sort of contribute to a general scope, for instance. So we've got business leaders, and the first exchange for Joburg is going to be on the 11th of June.
11th of June.
On the 11th at the Women's Jail, is it the Constitutional Hill? Yes. I think it's the I still need to get my Joburg geography right, but I think it's at the Constitutional Hill on the 11th of June. There are still spaces available, so if anyone is interested in attending that exchange, because we want activators, members of business, members of civil society, members of government, for instance, to share a space with these young people and hear what these young people are doing to contribute to the greater good.
Interesting stuff. Mhlanganisi, unfortunately we are out of time. We could just go on and on. Very, very interesting stuff, especially seeing that it's Youth Month. It's quite lovely to see them benefiting as well at the end of the day. So you said the 11th of June, Constitutional Hill.
Yeah, RSVP. It is very limited.
Okay, cool. Can we just have your contact details quickly?
Okay. So the RSVP is communications at activateleadership.co.za.
Oh, okay, cool. Is that taken down?
Not at this present moment for the RSVPs, because the RSVPs work through that process.
Okay, cool. Not a problem. Mhlanganisi, thank you so much for joining us and shedding some light on that very interesting stuff that you're doing.
Okay, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.